Every now and then, a brand that most people overlook decides to level up, to do something more ambitious, more artistic, and still keep it within reach. That's what's happening here. This is the Swan Edgar Horizon, and unlike most so called British design watches, this one is actually hand assembled and regulated in the UK. It's called the Mineral Museau, and it's part of a bigger shift for the brand toward higher quality, more original design, and more storytelling, but still staying under 795 pounds or about 950 US dollars. The design takes inspiration from the White Cliffs of Dover and the Battle of Britain, but this isn't about nostalgia. It's about a small British company proving it can make something elegant, creative, and genuinely distinctive without needing to cost thousands. And that's what made me want to spend time with it. So, some quick background. Swan and Edgar was founded by James Fields, who grew up in the watch world. His dad, Anthony Fields, spent his life in the industry, and that father-son connection is really what drives the brand. The name itself, Swan and Edgar, comes from a legendary London department store that supplied silks to the royal family and survived both world wars. That old world British craftsmanship is part of the DNA, but what's interesting is how the brand's evolving. The Horizon collection represents a real turning point. Better materials, more refined design language, and watches that are actually assembled and regulated in Britain by Horologium in Maidenhead. That last bit matters. It's not just designed in the UK, there's actual local watchmaking behind it. The design story comes straight from the White Cliffs of Dover, that chalky white coastline that's been a symbol of resilience and home for centuries. During World War II, the Battle of Britain played out in the skies above those cliffs. Swan and Edgar took that imagery, the meeting of cliff, sea, and sky, and turned it into two dials. This version, the Mineral Museau, uses real white quartz stone. It's wafer thin, less than half a millimeter, with this soft translucence and natural texture that makes every dial unique. Underneath it is Museau Black, which absorbs 99.4% of visible light. That means the stone almost seems to hover above pure darkness, like the cliffs rising over the sea. It's subtle, but that interplay of brightness and void gives it depth you don't expect from a sub $1,000 watch. Stone dials in general are really having a moment right now. Jade, onyx, aventurine, you name it. But most of them live in the high-end space. Seeing something like this done well at this price is pretty rare. Swan and Edgar also did a blue enamel version, and honestly, that one gave me real Moser vibes. Not a copy, but the same minimalist dial with a rich layered tone that shifts in the light. It's simple, clean, and quietly expressive, and it shows that the brand's thinking more like the designer than just a manufacturer. At 12 o'clock, there's this gold triangle with a custom 12 numeral, a small nod to the Royal Air Force sector clocks, which were used during the Battle of Britain to track enemy aircraft. The date wheel is another thoughtful touch. It cycles through red, yellow, and blue, echoing the color codes used on those same clocks. It's one of those things that really doesn't jump out at you right away, but once you notice it, it adds that extra layer of meaning. The rest of the dial is also ultra minimal, no indices, no clutter, just clean design. Now sure, legibility isn't the strongest, and legibility on the date wheel isn't that strong, but I don't think that's really the point here. The focus is the material, the light, and how the surface changes depending on how you move your wrist. The case is 39.5 millimeters wide, 11.3 millimeters thick, and made from 316L stainless steel. It's fully polished, which isn't usually my thing, but here it works. It plays nicely with the elegance of the dial. The double dome sapphire gives you that soft distortion at the edges, a nice vintage feel, and it's got anti-reflective coating on both sides. Flip it over and you'll see a really nice case back for this price. A 3D engraving of the White Cliffs of Dover done with polished and sandblasted contrast. Inside it runs on the Miyota 9015, a reliable automatic movement, but crucially, each one is regulated in the UK by Horologium before shipping. Now let's talk about the strap, because honestly, I'm not that big a fan. It's a dark suede that almost feels like velvet. It's comfortable, but I don't love how it integrates with the case. And that's rare for me because I usually like integrated straps, but here it just doesn't feel as natural. I'd wear this on something dressier, maybe a black or dark brown gaiter or a smooth leather strap. That would better match the elegance of the dial and make it feel a little more elevated, at least in my view. But on the wrist, it wears very well. 39.5 millimeters hits that perfect middle ground, slim, balanced, and just the right presence. Even with my gripes about the strap, the watch feels really refined for its cost. It's really cool to look at. In the white version, you can really subtly see the differences in the dial. And if you just look from afar, you might not even notice them. Yes, it's not flashy. It's not trying to really impress anyone. It just feels very well composed. So the big question, is it worth 795 pounds or about 950 US dollars? Yeah, I think it is. You're getting a real stone dial, not printed texture or imitation, set over a massue black, which is one of the darkest materials in watchmaking. It's hand assembled and regulated in Britain, finished really well, and it has design intent from top to bottom. At this price point, you don't really see that level of design very often. This feels like the opposite of that. It's a watch that clearly took time, and that shows in how it looks and how it feels. Look, it's not trying to be an ultra luxury piece, it's trying to be a refined, original one. And it nails that balance really well. Sure, I change out the strap, but even with that, the Horizon feels like it's delivering something genuinely different for under $1,000. And to me, that's worth it. That's the Swan Edgar Horizon, the Mineral Massue, a British made design that managed to mix history, art, and restraint all in a sub $1,000 package. So, what do you think of the Swan Edgar Horizon? Do you think it's worth the price tag? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.